God, this is truly a medical miracle. Well, we wanted to talk a little bit about this and to get updated. And so we invited Dr. Yvan Silva to be with us today. Dr. Silva is an organ transplant surgeon and really offers people a second chance at life. You know, I think it was Christian Barnard, Dr. Christian Barnard, who 20 years ago brought the whole aspect of organ transplants in front of our eyes with a heart transplant. But I want to know if the organ transplant is a truly viable alternative for people who are very ill.
Sonia, I think it depends on so many things. You know, I think the surgeon is the person who puts the organ in, but it's a very complex effort. The whole group of scientists who learn the basis of the disease process, the organ that is affected, and then the surgeon, of course, will put the transplant in, but it is a group of, it's a team effort to keep the patient well and to make sure that the organ works. Now, Barnard was a very courageous man because heart transplantation in animals had already been done, but he was able to put the first human transplant in on the 3rd of December, 1967. And there was a large number of patients that had transplantation after that of the heart. And now many less have that than before because we know that heart transplantation works for less numbers of people than we thought we did before.
Which is the most common type of transplant?
Perhaps in history, the cornea for about 160 years, but most effective is the kidney transplant for somebody when it comes to life rather than sight, which is what the cornea will do.
You had an organ transplant?
Yes, I had a liver transplant.
A liver transplant. Now, so far of the people that we have been talking with, the frequency, the one that is most frequent is which?
It's the kidney.
The kidney.
Yeah.
And the one most successful?
The kidney.
The kidney.
Yeah.
Who was your donor? Do you have any idea?
No, except for it come from the East Coast. It was an 11-year-old child.
And now how can you do something like that, Dr. Silva? How can you take the kidney of a child and transplant it to an adult female?
If it fits, they can wear it.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can put it
Because
in.
they said I had an extremely small liver, so I could take a child's liver.
Okay, now, do you have a storehouse of parts in different parts of the country, and you can kind of make a little phone call, and it goes on a computer, hits the satellite, comes down somewhere, and they say, yep, we got one that fits.
We have an amazing set of resources in this country, in Europe, where we share computer-based data. It's really not a storehouse. We're waiting for things to happen constantly. For the attrition of humans, people who die should be able to give. And so we're able to fly kidneys all over the place, livers for lesser times, because each organ is able to survive outside the body for less time than the other organs. To me, it's been the most amazing thing, because you take an organ, a living organ, and suspend it without it being alive or dead, and then put it in somebody and it comes back to life again. So it's an amazing concept of sharing, but it's not something you can take off a shelf or put away for a while and keep for too long.
I don't need to tell you that there is a striking controversy around this kind of surgery. There are the issues of cost, and there are the issues of who shall be selected, and more. And when we continue, we're going to direct our attention to those issues right after this. I want to address one issue, and then we can get on to some other things. But a few people around here have said, cost. Cost.
Sure.
What's the cost? What was the cost? No idea. Dad, do you have any idea?
No.
No idea. Anybody have any? In the 80,000s of dollars, maybe. Okay, cost.
Oh, in excess of 20,000 10 years ago.
In excess of 20,000 10 years ago. Cost. We haven't spoken to you, but you had a kidney transplant.
Kidney
yes?
transplant
Okay, cost.
10 years ago. I'm not sure. The government and Blue Cross picked up the costs.
Okay, you had your son. We haven't talked to Matthew or about it, but what was the cost?
I have no idea.
No,
but
go ahead.
I must be extravagant, that's all.
Extravagant, but no idea. Any idea what the cost was for cornea? Do you have any idea?
Mine was $50,000, and it was 7 weeks ago.
7 weeks ago. Who paid it?
The government.
The government paid it. Okay. Wow, that's a lot
My
of
own
money.
personal opinion, not all that relevant.
Not all that relevant? Well,
No.
tell us why you say
Well,
that.
I think it's a society is coming to grips, at least our society is now, with liver transplantation and things that cost much more. And I think it's so important that we all have a dialogue, the people who run the country, the people who do the transplants, and the people who receive them. Because I don't think, in my own view, and this is entirely personal, that I should ever have to think about whether it's going to cost $1 more or $1 less to do what I do. And I know I can speak for many of my colleagues who will just do what has to be done. I don't know that there is any cost that one can ever put on life. And I don't think one can ever measure the amount of quality of a life because it's not ours, it's somebody else's.